Hey, everybody, welcome to Tattooed in Business. I am your host, Brian Merrill, and this is life through the eyes of a Gen X male who's been in the corporate sales world for about 20 years now. And this is life lessons I've learned both in business and in life. So, this is Father's Day weekend, and you know, everybody focuses on hopefully your parents and everybody who have been there for them over the years and everything. And I just want to take a little bit of time and reflect, and kind of, from the eyes of a father who, if there's something that you could do wrong, let's face it, I've done it. Most of you who watch this or listen to me understand that I come from 6 years of my daughter not being in my life, and because of anger, towards me for different things and the way I acted. And and I was fortunate, when my son lived with me, but that doesn't mean that I was a great dad to him either. I've made so many mistakes as a business owner, running a business, not being there for my father or for my son, and being the dad that he needed, to where you know it's tough. So first of all, anyone who tells you there's, when you're an entrepreneur in business, that there's a work home life balance, they're full of shit, because there really isn't. You it's it's not for everybody. It takes a strong person to stay married to entrepreneurs, and it's not easy on the kids. Being a business owner is not easy for a kid. A lot of people just always kind of had that mentality where, well, your mom and dad own your own business, so the life is easy for you. Well, that's not true. So a lot of kids may have financial reward from that, but they don't necessarily have that great home life. And and I don't want to speak for anyone other than myself when I talk about this. My father moved to Florida, so this is going to be the first Father's Day that we don't physically have the ability to see each other, and we don't talk as much as we should, and stuff. But that's kind of life, and how I was born, and how I learned to cope with things and deal with things. So for throughout my life, when I was going through my divorce, I went through counseling, and I did a lot of counseling. Um, it's something I needed to learn how to adapt to things. But it was an eye opener when I met with a psychiatrist, and they tried to deep dive into my psyche, and where certain feelings and attitudes and everything were coming from, and how I just felt as a human being and towards myself, and how it reflected on others, and how I projected onto my kids and everything. And it was a really hard thing when um, I had a psychiatrist tell me that I needed to cut my father and my stepfather both out of my life. That they were negatively affecting me, because I'm seeking their approval till to this day, because I never felt adequate and good enough. So a father never wants that. And when I say father, okay, let's face it, guys. Uh, Whether you're a father or mother, you're a parent. So they're really, having Mother's Day and Father's Day. That's great, But reality is, we should have, how do we call it, Parents Day, and have Parents Day. Especially like when you really look at the dynamic of the world now. I mean, with same-sex marriages, and the ability to adopt kids and have kids that they raise like their own. Um, Maybe we should be really thinking, and not having it Father's Day, and having it Parents Day, is really what it is. I can tell you that when you become a single parent, you need to be in both roles. You have to take both roles, and just like you try your best, you're going to make mistakes, and you're going to fail. Reality is this, and this is a story I've told millions of times, but I'll never in my life forget it. I was in a bad place, and I had this guy one day, and I tell you, it changed my life. I'm never going to forget it. The words he said to me. So it's our job as parents to love our kids, but it's not their job to love us back. We got to earn that. And so we celebrate, Father's Day and Mother's Day, and we celebrate, your kids are supposed to, celebrate you, right? Well, that's I appreciate it and all, but I'm thankful every day that I have my daughter and my son in my life, and and just gratitude is a big part of that. And just because somebody isn't blood parent to a kid doesn't mean they don't love them. Doesn't mean that they're not a parent to them. Doesn't mean they're not an influencer in their life. I tell everyone that to try to understand this, and maybe and honestly probably I can't because I'm not a stepdad. But um, when a step parent gets involved with, when they marry and they have stepkids, they don't have to love those kids. They choose to love those kids. They choose to be a parent to those kids. You know, obviously it's driven because they love that other person, but the kids are part of the deal. It's a package deal. And when you have somebody who can't do that, it probably isn't going to last, right? But remember, when a step parent comes into your life and they're part of your life and they go to all your events and they're there for you, that's their choice. They chose to love you. They chose to take an interest in you, and you can develop feelings for some somebody else's biological kids as your own because you've been around them and you've seen them grow and you've seen them raise and you've seen them do all these great things and you've supported them. And you know, and I know it's a touchy subject, right? It's always a tough subject with mixed families now and stuff, especially when there's arguments and everything. But you need to try to take a look at that and try to reflect on how you can be better. I can tell you for the 6 years that my daughter um, wasn't in my life and chose that she didn't want me in her life was hell. But I also had to go through a huge growth portion of finding self love for me. I had to prepare for the day that and I'll tell you what, there was not a day that went by that I did not believe for 1 minute that my daughter was coming back in my life. And I look back now, and I parted ways with a friend that or someone that I thought was a great friend of mine. And I can honestly tell you this. Sorry, my allergies are kicking in, guys. But I can tell you this: that person kept telling me, "You're never going to have this. You better face it. They're out of your life. You better face it. You're never going to get this. You're never." And I refuse to believe that shit. We'd argue over it. I refuse to accept that defeat. I always say, I don't give a shit. If my child came back in just to use me, I didn't give a crap. But my daughter didn't do that, and I fought hard. And the biggest thing that I had to learn to do is to prepare myself for that day that it would happen, that they would come into my life, and accept my role and the responsibility of what I did wrong in there. And that's the hard part, right? But it isn't. I mean, you got to remember, it's your job to love your kid, but it's not theirs to love you back. So don't be a dick to them. Like when you punish them, when you scold them and all this, you need to make sure that they understand where you're coming from, and it's from a place of love that you love them. And let me tell you something: if you're a parent and you're not reaching out and you're not talking to your kid because you're pissed off at them, you're the asshole, not them. You're the asshole, and you need to fucking understand that because you need to be the one to bridge that gap, to make every effort that you could do. Now, I don't want anyone sitting there thinking, oh my God, Brian, what I'm about to tell you about, the things I did that, oh, you're such a good person, because I wasn't. But I snuck in the back of the theaters when my daughter was singing chorus without her knowing. And if they found out I was there, they'd ask me to leave. I didn't give a shit. I'd sneak into them. I fought to stay at her graduation. I hide on the railroad tracks when she was playing softball, wherever I could, just to be to for her to know that I was there, but not know I was there because part of it's selfish because I didn't want to miss these things. I stole off the internet a bunch of pictures on my daughter's prom because she wasn't talking to me. One of her friend's father happened to just send me this weird message one day, and I went on and I seen all these pictures, and I saved them all. I saved them all, and all these things I did were because I said I'm not giving up. I'm going to fight to have my daughter in my life. I want her in my life, and then at the same time, I have my son that I'm in his life and I'm trying to be the best dad I can be to him, and I'm failing miserably. I'm doing all these things wrong, and I had to just come to a point where realizing that it wasn't about me, and it had to be about them. Being a parent is about your kids, not about you. And I went through a lot of counseling to get this through my head. I went through a lot of counseling to realize that how not to project onto my kids and try my best. And I failed. You're going to fail more than you succeed, right? But having the tool, I was lucky. I invested the money to have the tools to work on these things and chose to work on them. I'm a person who has a mindset that is different than a lot of people, or a lot of people don't talk about. You know, I let's face it, guys. I can't see your faces through here. That's how I do this. I don't see your faces. I don't have a problem talking in front of people, but this is part of this is the way that I heal and the way that I just am able to deal with things is by getting it off my chest in this format. But I failed at everything at the divorce. You try not to talk bad about the other person, but you're gonna. You try. It's all how you prepare yourself for the day when it comes. So the day when it came, I'll never forget this. I was standing here in my kitchen. I had a bunch of friends over. I had the new girl I was seeing, and all of a sudden it was around 9:30 at night, and my phone just went off from this number, and it was my daughter, and she was at college, and she was ready to talk, and I just responded to her and I listened to what she had to say. And the hardest part was the first time I seen her face to face. And then when her mom passed, I had to deal with all that anger, all those hate, all the things that she needed to say and get off her chest. And the biggest thing I needed to do was shut my mouth and take it. And that's what being a parent is your kids, when they're younger, it's different, right? We're here to protect them. We're here to raise them, nurture them, help guide them. What do you do when they're grown? You hope you did the best you could, but you never stop being a parent. You never want to forget about them. And I tell you this, if you're a parent and you think so I'll just take the role of the father, obviously, because it's Father's Day. So if you're a father and you think that tomorrow, being Father's Day, it's your kid's job to reach out to you, you're an asshole. It's not their job to reach out to you. Hopefully they do, but you need to be the bigger person and reach out to them too. Let them know that, hey, yeah, this is Father's Day, but I'm always thinking about you. Don't wait for these days. There's so many people that come and go in our lives, and we take this stuff for granted. And when they're not there, it sucks. It sucks because you feel like you can't talk to them. So I'm going to give everybody a little thing that I believe and that I learned, and take it for what it's worth, for a grain of salt. So, have you ever woke up in the middle of the night? You don't have to go to the bathroom or anything. They just woke up randomly, and they're just you can't explain why. You just woke up, and it's usually between 2 and 5 a.m. in the morning. That I truly believe this. That is when whoever it is that you need to talk to is on your mind, the universe, whoever it is, that's them reaching out to you, telling you that they got time for you right now. They're listening. You know, we all talk about how it's whatever you believe in, their time is not the same time frame as ours. I truly believe that. Take advantage of those moments when you have alone time and things aren't going right, or you feel depressed or whatever. Don't be afraid to have that conversation out loud with someone. Do not talk negatively towards yourself. but talk in a positive manner, to have those conversations. You'd be amazed and how it does help you get things off your chest. You'll be amazed in what comes back. But you got to put in the work too, guys. You know, if this was easy, everyone would do it. Everyone's life would be hunky fucking dory, and I always call it Facebook fake, right? We call it Facebook fake because everything is great on Facebook, right? So this is true. This is a true. Shoot, I forgot the stat. Damn it! I should have wrote it down. This is for preparation, right? But there's a statistic, and I can't remember what it is now. I just found it out this week that a number of people who they scroll through Facebook and they feel negative. They get more negative feeling because they're looking at everybody else's life and it's so great and it's so great. And you're liking this and you're commenting and then you're internalizing what's going on in your life and you're looking at it as a negative. Don't be like that. Choose to take back your power. Choose to take control. Your power is you. And I tell this and it sounds like, I know it sounds crazy to people, but when somebody has hurt me or whatever, and I decide I'm not taking that shit no more, I literally, I actually said this, I said this shit in court, which I'm sure did not go over well. I've said it to somebody a couple of years ago when I felt I needed to say it. And I look him in the eye and I tell him, I take back my power. I take back every feeling I ever had that made me think that I was less because of you. I take back everything. I take back all control you had over me, all power you had over me. And and I don't know why, but I can feel that shit inside me and I can feel it moving, you know? And, I know I digress like I do every freaking week, right? But, it's Father's Day coming up. And again, so today is, or tomorrow is the day to celebrate your father. But if you were raised by a single parent, not it shouldn't be a gender specific day. Let's just face it. It should not be a gender specific day, either Mother's Day or Father's Day. Um, but that's just my 2 cents. You can agree or disagree. I really don't care. Um, but if you're a parent and you're out there and you're sitting there thinking, well, it's my kid's job to reach out to me today, don't be surprised if you're lonely or if it doesn't happen, and don't you dare get pissed off about it because it's on you. If your kids aren't reaching out to you, it's something you did. And if you're not strong enough, adult enough to accept the responsibility for that, then it's on you. It's not on them. Remember this. It's your kids' job to be kids. It's your kids' job to take care of themselves. Your job is to love your kids, but it's not their job to love you back. So, on that note, I hope everybody does hear from their kids. And if not, like I said, reach out to them. Don't be afraid to reach out. My father's never afraid to reach out to me and wish it to me. If, first thing in the morning, my brother, who seems to have a knack for finding me at like when I'm the most sleepiest on the weekends, he has always made it a point and found time to reach out to me for things before I do him. Um, yeah, I mean, my father isn't, he'll send it to me first. He doesn't wait. And I think that comes from years of growth and reflection, to where he's at in his life now. And, and that's what it's really about. Remember that. It's your job to love your kids, but it's not their job to love you back. So be appreciative and be grateful and be thankful for all that you have. All right. On that note, everyone have a great weekend, and we'll talk soon. And check us out on Podbean is our major podcasting platform, and then of course YouTube. Like, share. If there's anyone you think can get anything out of this, please by all means share, like, and let them know about it. Everyone have a great weekend. Thank you.